All right, we are at 6 o'clock. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the May 5th, 2025 Commissioners Meeting. Title VI forms are in the back corner by the door. If you'd like to fill one of those out, return it to the auditor's office. And if you rise with me for the Pledge of Allegiance, Todd House, would you like to lead us in the pledge? Sure.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Greg Red from First Baptist couldn't be here this evening. Brian, would you like to lead us in the prayer?
Sure. Heavenly Father, as we gather here this evening, we come before you and just ask for wisdom and guidance as we have concerns for our county, that we make sure that we do our due diligence and just everything we do, that we honor our citizens for Decatur County. We thank you for these people here this evening as they watch over us. We just ask you for your blessings.
Amen. All right, up first would be the review for the April 21st Commissioners Meeting minutes.
The only thing I had was you had the wrong person for the prayer. It was Terry Canfield who actually did the prayer last meeting.
Okay,
And I believe you have Steve Frinsmeyer.
I do. That might have been from before. What was his name again?
Terry Canfield. That's all I noticed.
Dave, do you have anything?
Nope, I'm making a motion to approve. Even the one change.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, motion carries. April 21st meeting minutes are approved. The executive session meeting minutes for April 21st. Let's have any discussion on those.
Do not.
I entertain a,
Make a motion to approve the executive session for 420.
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, motion carries. The April 24th executive session minutes.
If nothing on that, I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, motion carries. All right, moving on to claims.
The one thing I saw, Chair Myros, is that there was a lot of overtime on your claims. Oh, that's paid. Sorry. Never mind.
Yeah,
I'll catch you on payroll.
I'll make the leave quickly, I don't know.
I didn't see anything on claims.
No, it's just a lot of tiny charges, and it's I know that's a reoccurring thing, but I think it was around $8,000 for this session, and that's,
Maybe we'll decrease that.
well, that's the hope. I know that we've been having some trouble with some pumps and motors and, just kind of continuing maintenance. It's a lot down there. I mean, there's a lot going on, but yeah, we're gonna try to.
Do you want to just elaborate for folks that don't know exactly what the maintenance is that they're working on, Gabe?
Yeah, I forget the actual motor, what it was. The one that we've been having a lot of problems with, the hot water boiler and the chiller.
It's a Grondo's pump.
Yes. But we've just been, that's one thing after another. Motor pump goes bad, pulley system, boiler problems, chiller issues. It's been elaborate first part of the year, that's for sure.
Some problems with the chiller.
Yeah. That one keeps coming up as well.
So it just seems like they're making a lot of trips back for, and I know in the claim that, just as this office might be hot or this is cold or, whatever that might be. But I think we're hopefully going to have the new maintenance person who started today and just reach out to them and see what we can do to try to eliminate some of those trips. Other than that, was all I had.
I'd entertain a motion to approve claims.
I'll make a motion.
A second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, motion to approve claims carries. Moving to the payroll for April 25th, 2025. Total amount was $403,877.75.
Sheriff Myers.
I believe you're referring to OPOs, what's going on.
And that's what I.
That gets reimbursed.
Okay. Assuming that was all reimbursed.
Yeah.
Just that there was one that said OT, the other ones were OT, but I wonder if they were all. A lot of those OT.
It should have been all operation pool.
I guess that was my confusion, because only one said that. The rest of them were all OT. And I thought, okay,
Just, yeah, it was written down wrong.
that's okay. All right. Thanks for clarification.
No problem.
Other than that, I didn't see anything. So,
Yeah,
I'll make a motion to accept the payroll claims.
Second.
yeah, there wasn't anything in any other department that was out of the ordinary from my review. All those in favor to approve the payroll claims for April 25th, 2025, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Okay, Todd Howe, Highway Department.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good
Good.
evening.
General maintenance, we're still doing patching, mowing, signage. Seems like it's an everyday deal for us. 2024-2 HMA overlay is just about complete. A lot of the projects I've seen, I thought the mayor did a pretty good job on that, so very pleased with that. 2025-1 chip and seal, we made contact with SC Construction, and they're supposed to be coming in, I think, Wednesday to meet with us. I think they're planning on starting the second week of June. So we need some wedge and overlay on some of these roads that we're going to chip and seal, the correct profile, and put a skim coat on them. So we'll be proceeding with that. I did get a call from Shelby County while I was out of town Wednesday, Thursday, about possibly purchasing liquid asphalt from the county versus taking their truck all the way to 86th Street in Annapolis to fill up that asphalt solutions. I don't see a problem with that. We do the same thing with Jennings County when we go over and buy pug mix, okay, for pothole patching. So I would probably be at the same price and maybe just a little bit more because we're running the electric to stir that every day, twice a day. I don't see a problem with that. Just wanted to bring that up. I think you had talked to the commissioner in regards to that. So
Was it Nathan Redbone that you talked to?
talked to Ben Taylor, superintendent. So and he seems like he took over. He's getting ready to take over, but he's had 8 years of training with the superintendent, where I had 4 months. So he's very well schooled. So there's some things that I can learn from him. We've had several talks, pretty good relationship, county to county. So I told him I would bring that up tonight and let him know.
I know in my discussions with Nathan that he mentioned that there was also potentially some other equipment that they would be willing to allow
To trade
the
off.
county to
Yeah.
use in exchange for maybe some light equipment or something like
Yeah.
that. So definitely an avenue to look at, instead of always having to potentially rent something, that we could maybe get it off of Shelby County.
Okay.
So they want to purchase that from us, though.
They want to come to our tank that we have on the yard.
That will short us.
No.
Okay.
No,
That'd be my only concern.
no. So,
Short us.
but pretty much I need, 2 days notice for asphalt materials to deliver to us. Normally I order about 2,000 gallon. I think right now I think I got about 3,500 gallon in that tank. When they come over to fill up, their tank is 300 gallon. So it'll be about 275 by the time they top that off. So it's not, I don't think it's anything that would affect us.
Okay. good.
How big is the tank? How big is the tank?
It's a 6,000 gallon tank. So right now we've just been going 2,000, 2,500 gallon. So we can use that up in a timely manner. As it heats up and stirs, it seems like it breaks down. So we try to get it out of there as quick as we can. I had quarterly meetings with NDOT today on Ridge 141 and 131, which are federal aid jobs. I have to attend these meetings 4 times a year. I have to do the quarterly reports and all the paperwork for NDOT requirements. We're on schedule with all them. Bridge 131 was probably the one that's we moved the letting date back from 27 to 28, just where we was in constraints with the STIP, which if you want to know what the STIP means, you probably need to ask John Cutfield. But we had some issues with that at the beginning. So right now it's, whether it's a historical bridge, the HTTV, is that right, John? Or the I think there's a couple different acronyms that, in regards to that keeps us on track with NDOT, where we don't have to move the letting date back any further. So I think John San Giorgio is the manager on that job. I think he's on top of everything. So he attended that meeting this morning too, as well as Adam Klaus from Team Longest Snap or Eagles Group. So they usually join me on those quarterly meetings. So if there's any updates they need to give, that I can answer, where they can answer for me. But that went pretty good this morning. Patty posted the job posting for secretary, and so far I think I've had, 4 resumes or 3 resumes and 3 applications. So I'll be looking at that. Tim is going to be out of town the end of this week and all next week, and a partial of the following week. So when he gets back, probably start the interview process, see if we can get somebody selected, start setting in there.
Very good.
I know last week, I think it was Sunday or Monday, I emailed you about some calls that I had gotten out towards New Point, but 200 South, 300 South, 500 South. I know that you mentioned 500 South for DCUG 5, and it was going to get taken care of. Were you able to take care of 300 and 200?
300 has been greater patched from, I think it starts on 850 and runs to the county line. So a lot of those problems have been addressed on 300. 200, that is where I am digging into to try and find out with the dump on the tipping fee where we can repave that in a couple of years. 500, I drove that today. There are several potholes on that road, so we are going to go out and address those. My biggest worry is I don't want any kind of bleeds on the wedge and HML overlay. I'm gonna go back to chip and seal. So we'll go out there and patch those potholes, and then we'll probably choke it down with some 11s, make sure it dries out as much as we can.
With 200, the condition from when I drove it, there are areas I don't know if they can make it a couple of years on that. Is there something that we can maybe address some of those major issues that we have out there now prior to being able to repay the entire thing from tipping fees?
Well, we could probably do some skip patching, some wedge and overlay to address in the near future. That's a pretty good stretch of road.
It is. Yeah. Do you think you have that in your budget to be able to address maybe some of the higher?
We possibly could, because I could pull that out of restricted. Tim and I can look at that.
Yeah, I know that's one of the roads that I hear about the most.
Yeah.
I got a phone call from the same person,
Just-
same complaint.
Yeah,
Just
just
kind of talking with you about that.
the amount of traffic, the amount of heavy traffic
Yeah.
that is on that road.
With the dump and leasing, those are the two probably the biggest users, and it just breaks it down. Plus the winter those times, so it just keeps blowing out. So we've been out there numerous times to make patches and try to repair where we could. But yeah, that's probably a sensible look forward to possibly do some skip patching. Being in our bid this year.
Is there standard, I mean, are you normally using like standard asphalt out there, or is there some kind of thicker, tougher asphalt or something that won't break down as easy? I know that there were some comments I've heard about maybe other places in the county where we had a large amount of semi-traffic and stuff that may have used more of a runway grade or something, different type of asphalt.
Well, there is some higher grade asphalt that they tried, like out by the dairy on 700. Works out well. I've also seen Jennings County, they do cold mix asphalt, okay? And with cold mix, that basically heals itself, okay? So we went down and watched that process. I like that process, but it takes quite a bit of asphalt to do stretch of road. So, yeah, we can look at different avenues on what we try and do.
Just think it might be a little bit more upfront, but it reduces the maintenance later. And the problem, we're probably gonna save them.
Yeah,
Because it seems like that road's a year.
yeah, we can look at that. Is there anything else that you gentlemen have for me?
I think I have anything else.
We got survey stakes at 700 east and 400 north. Are we gonna try to take that Lake Santee jog out there?
No, that has been altered. That was the furthest, that would be the best way or the best, if we could do that way to fix it. We presented that. It still comes with its challenges. I mean, if you've drove it and you've seen the stakes, you see that they're still kind of really into that house's yard, so it puts it really kind of close to the house. And there's really no other good way to do it because there's ravine across from Jackson's nursery.
Right.
And so there's no way, you're still gonna end up with kind of a hard curve.
I worry about the fast travelers through
So
what you're attempting to do is kind of like, yeah, over the hill. If you're coming through that section
Yeah.
fast, you'll cut the inside before you go down the hill. And somebody's going the other way.
So the working approach is now is as you're traveling west on 400, when you come to that 90-degree corner, it will stay a 90-degree corner. We are going to shift the road inward a little bit and just make it a little bit wider right there.
Yeah.
And then put a guardrail from Jackson's nursery kind of edge of their property all the way around the corner to where 400 turns left.
Yeah.
So that way, right now, that's a 90-degree edge on that guardrail. But with adding it into a radius, then if somebody were to hit it, you're trying to pull the guardrail versus it's not just going to lay it over.
Yeah.
So that was kind of we met with all the property owners out there, looked at what the best solutions would be, and that's what we. That was last week when you were out.
Yeah.
Tim and I met out there.
And the initial thing on that is to do advanced warnings and signage and striping before you do realignment. Okay.
Right. So the idea is if we want to start having meetings, and then we'd have to go, well, we could also do this. And then, so we just started with this is the, kind of best approach, if you will. Let's work backward to what makes sense. And so that's where it landed. I think it'll be a pretty cost efficient maneuver. Hopefully we can eliminate some injuries, with that. And I do believe we're going to add signage to it as well. So we're still going to put some radius signs around that corner to help also.
Most of them are daily through there, just
Right.
on holiday weekends, you probably get some new people coming out of Lake Santee.
There's some issues with that.
And it's the ones coming out of Lake Santee. You have to go ahead to Lake Santee.
Sure. And then
But speed can be an issue through there.
you can, and then there's also some issues just in the winter in general. The weather. It may not be a driver impairedness problem. It's just simply hard to get us up.
Yeah.
So yeah, that we laid that approach out, but those stakes will be pulled, and we'll just keep that.
Yeah,
But with better protection.
my understanding, we're just going to do a new design.
Yes. So it'll be pulled, like I said, it'll be just a little bit wider where 400 also comes in at that intersection from the west coming east. We're going to widen that into a 50-foot radius too.
It's a hard night. there.
Yeah. So we're going to bend that out wider so that it's easier for semi-traffic.
Yep.
Farm equipment.
Anything else for me?
I don't.
All right, gentlemen.
Thank you, Todd.
Thank you.
Sean Durbin, Health Department. Hello, Sean.
Hi, Sean. Hello, gentlemen. Here, please. Thanks for having us here tonight. So I'm going to talk just real briefly. As you probably are aware, the legislators this year cut the Health First Indiana funding from $150 million to $40 million. So we're anticipating a pretty significant cut to, of course, to what's coming down to Decatur County. I don't have exact figures. I hope I'd have them for you by now, but it's they are using a formula to determine what the counties are going to get. So we're not allowed to use any more like the fact that we're rural counties, but it's not also completely population based. So we don't know exactly what it's going to be, but we're anticipating a pretty significant cut. That being said, we do not anticipate cutting any personnel or services that we currently. We've spent, I feel like we've spent very wisely in anticipation of potential loss of the revenue. So we've invested in a lot of things that will get us through. I have received grants and have some of those still stockpiled so we can continue to keep everybody there still employed. That being said, what will end up getting cut is some of the community grants that we have will not have funds. So like the Four Corners project that I've been here and I've talked to you a couple of times about, that's still going to do that. It probably starts next week. So everything we are doing now will still be able to continue to do. I just want to, if I may indulge you for a moment, we had our community baby show past Saturday. Decatur County has significantly high infant mortality. And so that's one of the areas we want to address. And the best way to address that, of course, is to get with those newborn mothers, mothers of newborns and pregnant women. So we sent out invitations. We did a lot of things. We had approximately 10 vendors who showed up from various service agencies that were able to offer, information on their services. And they got some really nice gifts and handouts. But what I really wanted to share, though, was an email I received right after this person left. And they said, Sean, I just want to reach out and thank you and the rest of the health department for putting on the community baby shower. This was an amazing event, and I think it filled a huge need in our community. I know I walked out with several great items and a ton of resources that I had no idea existed before today. And that's the part I'm most happy about, is the fact that we were able to get somebody in touch with resources, or possible resources. And the person who sent this is someone who's very knowledgeable, does a lot in the community already. So it's just really happy to see that, and that we actually reached her and hopefully provided some services that they're going to be able to.
How was your turnout?
That's a great question. I meant to lead with that, Brian. Thank you. We had 34 either expectant or mothers of children less than 6 months. That was that's what we expected. And 80 people actually showed up.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's a great turnout. We had excellent participation with our vendors. We did this little thing where they made diaper cakes. I'd never heard of it. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it or not, but we reached out to the nursing home activity directors and asked them to make diaper cakes, which are now part of the contest to vote for the best one. So you can go to our Facebook page and vote still. And you can see the pictures from those. They're very, very creative. Nice job. So again, partnered with the nursing homes, the long-term care facilities, more able to get some really cute things. I think everybody really enjoyed it. I heard nothing but good feedback. I'm really proud of my staff for doing that. I say my staff because all I did was pull the signs around and you help set up. So I let them take care of pretty much all of it. So that's all I had on that part of it. The other part that I'm here for is actually Alicia Nabi is going to present a proposed pool ordinance. And before she gets up here, I want to say a few good things about Alicia. I think I've told you guys before. I'm so proud. She has just really blossomed in her role. She's only been there a little over a year, and in that time, I cannot believe the knowledge she has gained and the impact she's already made on the health department. And she was actually named a couple of weeks ago. She was the environmental health manager. She has a BS in environmental science. She completed her certified pool operator course. She's completed her vector control courses. She's consistently looking for new ideas and new ways to learn. And so I'm going to have her present the pool or proposed pool ordinance. So that's all I have.
No pressure.
No pressure at all. No pressure at all.
Great thing.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think I'm a little more formal than most people are. Okay. I did hand out an amended proposed ordinance Between 2020 and 2024, Indiana reported over 4,000 potential cases of waterborne illnesses, and 22 of those happened in Decatur County. We haven't had any confirmed pool-related outbreaks yet, and that's good news, but and we'd like to keep it that way, which is why we're here to propose this pool ordinance. And that gives us the framework that we need to formally permit and inspect public and semi-public pools here in the county. We have the authority to conduct inspections already, but the ordinance will give us some local processes, including permitting, local, enforcing local standards, and our inspection procedures. And we've estimated about 10 pools that fall under the ordinance. That's what I've estimated. I'm not sure if that number is higher or lower, but those include schools, fitness centers, apartment complexes, hotels, and summer camps. Those, the year-round pools will be inspected twice a year, and these seasonal pools will be inspected once a year. And right now, without the ordinance, again, we can inspect, but we're doing it without a way to cover the cost of that enforcement or the inspection. We have proposed fees of $600 for year-round pool and $300 for seasonal pool. Those prices match what we charge for restaurants in the county too. And those fees would help to cover the cost of our supplies, travel time, and follow-up visits that we have for inspection. And that's so that the taxpayers aren't footing the bill to inspect those facilities. And similarly to food inspections, the goal is not to make money. We're not generating revenue over here. It's just to make the program sustainable and to protect the public. And then I have some statistics for you guys that I wanted to share. So according to the CDC, 1 in 8 pool inspections results in an immediate closure due to a major health violation, which means one of our pools could be closed. So those violations that would cause a closure are found in section 6 of the ordinance. Over 7 million people are affected by waterborne illnesses each year caused by pathogens like Legionella, Giardia, norovirus, and Cryptosporidium, which is a chlorine-tolerant parasite linked to over 200 outbreaks from 2015 to 2019. And then there are things like poor ventilation and overchlorination of pools that cause respiratory irritation. And of course, drowning remains a leading cause of death in children ages 1 to 4. So our routine inspections would be here to help prevent those risks. And then, as Sean said, I completed my certified pool operator training, and so is my colleague Alex Myers. And after we learned about these risks, we think that now it's the time to work on this ordinance and get it moving forward. And again, just my last thing, it's not about control, it's not about generating any revenue, it's just about prevention, public health, and making sure that our families have safe pools to enjoy.
So with the fees,
Yeah.
thank you for that, by the way.
Yeah, of course.
With the fees, have you looked at other counties that do a similar program to assess kind of where we fall?
Yeah, so I have looked at some counties that the fees range from anywhere from $100 for a yearly permit to about $600. I know that we are a little bit higher than most counties as far as our food permits are. I haven't really looked at counties as far as like what compares to us specifically, but that's something that I could look into.
When we're talking about recouping costs, what costs will be incurred by the health department for going out and doing these inspections?
So we have equipment that we have to purchase. We have the water testing kits. Those range to about $100, and then we got the thermometer, which and also that can be like $50 to $100 as well. And then just travel time and the time doing the inspection.
Sure.
So if you have any statistics as far as breaking that down, like was it mostly public pool or semi-public pools in Decatur County, or is it just not?
I didn't have that.
Okay. What if in a semi-public pool, since we don't have a public pool, so in a semi-public pool violation, and you notice that it's clearly a chemical imbalance not being cleaned, then that violation shuts it down. But then what is the process for reopening? And then do you not test that again for another 6 months? Or is there like a habitual offender issue where we're going to start being checked more?
So I don't have a copy of it with me now, but I do believe that it says it's not specific to how many inspections we would do in the ordinance, but if there needs to be a follow-up, we would do that. As far as when they reopen, they would just let us know that they think they're ready to come back and test the water. Give them a yes or no.
So is that fee to come back out and test the water again.
It's an annual permit or a free.
Yeah, sorry if I didn't.
That's okay. That's
And,
okay.
and just to be clear, Gabe, it's possible they can fix that situation while we're there.
Yeah.
So it may not result in closure. It could result in, let's correct this. Just like we do with the business. There's a range. We basically present the worst case scenario. We're not going to go out and close schools unless there's a really significant public health.
So in this scenario, we expect pH, alkalinity, all that as well,
Yeah.
or is you're also testing for some of the bacteria?
Yeah. Yeah,
So if it's just the pH and alkalinity chlorine being off, they can fix that way.
they can fix it on.
And then we're perfect. But if, obviously, if you see bacteria that is making a lead to, which still can be treated some by, by the chemicals on site, but. Okay.
But if we suspect a fecal accident, we're going to close
They
it.
have to close.
I mean, that's part of the state code.
Yes.
Perfect.
Can you tell me what the two fees were again? 600 and
600 and 300. 600 for yearly, 300 for seasonal.
But yearly they check twice, so that's why. It's really 300 a time.
gotcha. Thank you.
I will also say that there is the clause in there that nonprofits, anybody, 501c3s do not have to pay for a permit. So the majority are 501c3. The Y, high school, the soccer teams.
Okay, that's good. So what was your intention with this today?
To hopefully get it approved. To go to a second reading then?
Yeah, we get to.
This first reading, that has to go to, come back around for second reading because of the fine schedule.
Okay, because there is some things that I mentioned to you,
Yes,
I saw it,
Absolutely.
that we may need to draw, and of course Chad needs to review it as well.
So I'll make a motion to approve the first reading, moving on to second. And there are some things that I think that we can address in it for second reading.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? All right. That carries.
Thank you so much.
Second reading. Thank you. John, what was the child mortality rate here?
It's at 7.7 per 1,000 live births. So one of the things, and I do want to clarify, when we have that number, it sounds really high. It really is high compared to a lot of other counties. However, because of our small population, it's unstable data, but it's still an issue that needs to be. It's one of the prime concerns we've had with the health first Indiana. It became one of our key performance indicators we truly wanted to focus on because, I mean, it's always tragic. We have some, and most of them are preventable.
Where's that put us? Just ballpark it. Where's that put us in the state?
Top 10.
I appreciate your work on that.
Thank you.
All right. That looks like, I think that's it. Everything for you, Sean?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank
Doug
you.
Westerfeld, area plan.
Good afternoon.
Right, Doug?
I've got 3 petitions that have been approved from A1 to A2 zoning that have been approved by the Area Plan Commission that I need to get your signatures approved on. I sent this to you.
Yeah.
The first one is Cameron Tipton. This is the rezone 2.99 acres. It's on A2. Ordinance number 2025.
It looks like we had 2 members that were absent. Those that were there voted in favor. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6
6 yeas.
yays. Yep.
So let's see here.
All right, I entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept Tipton's rezoning.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Second one is ordinance number 2025-3, 2.99 acres. Table A2. For live acres /
Looks like we had 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 yays, no nays. No one voted against the petition.
I'll make a motion to accept this rezoning.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye. And those opposed? Motion carries.
Third is 2025-8, Eastern Farm LLC, rezoning 2.74 acres from A1 to A2.
Everyone that was present voted in favor. No one voted against. 7 members were present.
I'll make a motion to accept Hastings rezoning.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries.
That's all that I have. Did you have anything for me? Anything else?
Do you have any update on where we're at for the comprehensive plan review?
So the surveys should be going out this week. I need to get an update from SIPC, but they were finalized on the 28th. Whatever day that was, Wednesday. So they were finalized Wednesday. So they'll be going out this week.
It seemed like some of the questions in there were worded or maybe geared towards individuals that might not live in Decatur County.
Okay.
Was that intended, since this is a public,
I think, yes.
it's going to be posted online and
Right.
maybe hitting affected people that didn't move to Decatur County for a specific reason.
Right.
This comp plan review, the
Yeah.
survey.
They cover all of that. Yeah.
And once we get that survey, it'll be available online and multiple places.
Yep. And we'll make it available at our office, online. So yeah, and then we'll get that news out to everyone.
What'll be the next step after the survey and the comp plan then?
Then we'll begin the process of interviewing engineering firms to get their bids.
Because I know I've had a number of people voice their interest in getting involved
Yeah.
in different committees.
We've had
So
a few people stop by the office.
I just want to make sure that we're letting folks know kind of where we are in the
Right.
process, that we aren't there yet. But we're
Yeah,
getting
we're getting there, but it's always good to have people that want to be involved.
yes. Any update on where we are for COVID?
They will be presenting at the June BCA meeting.
First Wednesday in June.
We've already arranged for that to be at the Greensburg High School auditorium.
Just gonna ask.
And the BZA will be, or I'm sorry, the APC will, or typically the BZA meets in front of the APC, but we'll have the APC first and then we'll have the BZA.
Correct. And I think it was Dave Henderson that had set up the IT stuff with the webcams and all of that previously. We
Right.
just need to make sure that we have that.
Yeah, and we're working with Tom as well, because whoever handles the sound system for the auditorium is not going to be available this summer. So, but he said he'll make sure it's taken care of.
Anything else? Anyone else?
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Doug. All right, Kevin Craigler. Insurance.
Steve's gonna give the presentation.
All right. Steve, welcome.
Oh, thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
So I am Steve Least, Kevin Crackler. We're with Sure Partners. We're here today in advance of our renewal, which is May 22nd. Provided everyone with a binder that has our renewal information for the property and casualty renewal, workers' compensation. Our current carrier is Liberty on the package and IPAP on our workman's compensation. We sent the risk out to 6 markets, including the incumbents. We got back one very competitive quote with Liberty. So on, I believe it's page 30 of that document or that binder is a summary of our current carrier, expiring premiums, renewal premiums, and then an option for travelers. We'd like to get out in front of this 2 meetings prior to the renewal so that you'll have a chance to look at it, formulate any questions that you might have. But travelers just come in with a very attractive option to replace Liberty this year. Couple of things, we're still working on the cyber liability quote. Our current cyber liability coverage is with Liberty. If we choose to move to Travelers, we will need to get a quote for the cyber liability coverage, which we are in the process of doing. We just don't have it finalized yet. We will. There are a couple changes. Both Travelers and Liberty are excluding coverage for the Greenville Dam. Had coverage with Liberty previously on the dam, but if Kevin can help me here, but I think it was the last inspection report, 2020, came back 4. So those,
Greensburg, the park dam.
sorry, yeah. So they're Liberty and Travelers would both exclude coverage for the dam. We have indications from other carriers that we could get that covered. But
If you will, or
it would be a separate policy, yes, on the dam. But that being said, we have not had coverage on the Westport covered bridge with Liberty, and Travelers will cover that bridge. Couple other pieces that kind of favor Travelers. Courthouse is currently insured with Liberty under actual cash value. Travelers is going to cover it at replacement cost. So we don't have that issue. That's included under our blanket limit for buildings and contents at replacement cost. And anything else, Kev?
Just the occurrence first.
Yes. So currently with Liberty, we are on a per location deduct. Per location deduct. Travelers is going to be per occurrence, which is much better, much broader. In the event of a storm, we have a large wind event. We had that wind event that damaged 6 locations. We have a deductible at each location. One occurrence, it's going to be covered under one deductible. So Travelers property coverage is much broader, much more comprehensive.
as you go through these 2 quotes, this is your business, you guys do this. I hear a lot of superlatives for Travelers. Does this feel like this is the way to go?
I do.
I mean, when you're looking at the pros and cons.
Yes. I mean, there were things that we went back to Liberty and asked them if they would contemplate, which was going to a per occurrence versus a per location deductible. We also shared not premiums, but we said, are you guys willing, since this is a client that you have had for, years and had a relationship with, are you, we've got better terms and conditions with another carrier. Are you interested in modifying your quote? They weren't. So to answer your question, yeah, I think, travelers are being more aggressive in their coverage and then their price.
Is there, in your time working in the insurance field, have you ever seen when counties get together as a pool? Because our pool is smaller, being the Decatur County is smaller. I was talking with another commissioner in a separate county about the idea of pooling together to try to lower our exposure to insurance, higher insurance rates.
Sure.
Not being in the insurance field, is that something that you have seen, something that you have heard of other counties pooling together? Because to me, it seems like it would be a benefit to both parties.
It does. And honestly, that's what the work comp program is with IPEP. It's a risk sharing pool.
It is.
So have I seen that similarly on the casualty lines? And I mean, we see group captives in the commercial space. We don't really see a lot of group captives in the municipal space. I just think it's from a risk perspective, every county manages their risk differently. When you get into those type of risk sharing agreements with multiple entities joining in, you have to be very diligent with regard to safety practices. Everybody's got to be on the same page. You typically take more risk in terms of higher retentions, whether it's $250,000 or $500,000, then you layer the risk off of that. So there's a lot of planning that goes into it. I see it a lot on the commercial side, not as much on the municipal.
Do you know anything about the quality of travelers' legal representation?
Well, you really find out who your friends are when you have a claim, right? That's how it works. I mean, Travelers is an A+ rated carrier. They're one of the top 3 carriers in the U.S. So from a claims perspective, we deal with them on a regular basis. We also deal with Liberty on a regular basis. We deal with a lot of these carriers. And it seems more and more from a property perspective, we've dealt with them a lot more recently. Wind, hail events, ice events. They're responsive, but their part that comes into play too with Kevin and myself is, we're working through that process with our clients, making sure that the adjusters are in contact with our clients. Those meetings are taking place. So they're only as good as, I think, the people that you have working on your behalf with them also, in my experience.
It was believed that we had a $10,000 wind hail deductible prior, and we understand that that's now $100,000. Do you recall that change being made?
Yeah, last year, and I think there was some confusion. I think we did address that, whether it was in a public forum or not, with some of the commissioners. But what's happening, especially with regard to Liberty and Travelers, our property schedule for buildings, personal property, and so forth is upwards of $90 million. So these carriers, when you have a property schedule on a blanket basis that is over 50 million, even in a municipal perspective, they assign minimum deductibles. So Travelers, Liberty last year, their minimum property deductibles for not wind and hail, but all other perils is 25,000, which is what we have. But our wind hail deductible, which is similar to what we see for municipalities this size for both those carriers, is 1% or a minimum of 100,000. And that's strictly dictated by the size of the county and their willingness to offer those deductibles. That's as low as they choose to go when they're offering these programs for municipalities with schedules that is in excess of what we have.
just, I guess there's nothing we can do about it, but we had a few very bad windstorms that came through here recently. I know you're aware of them.
Yeah.
That's when we found out about that deductible. But, that's a huge hit to the county. But
Well,
for an unexpected expense.
and what we can do and so there is a risk transfer on that. There are insurance carriers that will offer deductible buy down, meaning that you can buy that $100,000 deductible down to 25 or 20,000, and they'll charge you a premium for that. But that's the offset.
Insurance company. I know. So it's, I mean, it's a diminishing return.
No, it is.
Buying it down is
Yeah.
very expensive.
Understood. And from a risk transfer perspective, I mean, our work comp is first dollar. Everything else typically has a deductible attached with it. But you're insuring for those catastrophic type losses, right? That's exactly what it is. It's not for, we've got a window that needs to be replaced, we got cracked or whatever. It's catastrophic in nature.
Looking through here quickly, does the quote include the upgrades that we've made to the ball diamond? Because we just recently had a significant investment. So yeah, over $1.5 million to the ball diamonds for AstroTurf. And just looking here at the numbers that we have, I'm not sure if that's, yeah.
So our property form is written on a blanket basis. So to give you an example, I'm just going to use round numbers. Let's say we have the courthouse building here insured for $5 million. Okay. With Travelers, it's included in that blanket limit at replacement cost. So we have, I believe it's buildings and personal property of upwards of $90 million. If it costs $8 million to replace this building, you've got a blanketed amount to take care of that. So what you're finding is these insurance carriers will take a look at your statement of values, right? And let's just say we've got 30 locations, 40 locations. They're going to pick out the top 5 or 6, and they're going to run, if it's on a blanket basis, they're going to run building cost estimators. And they're going to say, hey, we know you show on your schedule that this building's insured or replacement cost is $5 million, but our data shows it's really $7 million. So they're going to ask you to insure it for $7 million. But on a blanket basis, if we had that for the ball fields and you spend a lot of money there, we want to be as true with the insurance carrier as possible and say, hey, it's worth X, but you've got blanketed amounts. So if it costs more to rebuild it, put it back, we're going to have that under the blanket.
Sure, there's insurance for construction, but
Yeah.
if that gets completed.
So we are undertaking another project out at the fairgrounds that Scott Barnes is here tonight. As construction proceeds, we are incurring additional costs. Say we get 2 months down the road and we have a building standing, an event happens that demolishes the building. Are you covering that?
Greg has a big first policy.
Okay.
There should be a builder's risk policy for that additional construction that's ongoing, but once it's completed
Yep.
and if a certificate of occupancy needs to be done, then it transfers on to our permanent schedule.
Good deal.
That's the process.
All right. I'll need more time to digest everything.
Yeah, it's a lot. That's why we want to try to get out 2 meetings prior to the renewal. You guys can have a chance to review it, take a look at it, funnel any questions that you have back. We still have to get the cyber liability piece wrapped up, and then we'll come back on the 19th, I believe.
Yeah.
On the 19th, and ask for formal approval.
I appreciate you going out, soliciting additional bids.
Yeah, I think given what we've seen and where Liberty came back, Travelers was and is a good option for us this year. It'll help contain costs, but I also believe that they're going to improve our.
Thanks, Steve.
So
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks.
You guys want the sports complex, you want to know what's the coverage is for that? That's the,
I'd like to see what the options are. Yeah, I would just hate to have something happen. Some type of nuance in the policy doesn't cover it.
and we still have to deduct, I'll find out exactly what the limit is on the
Done good. Yeah, thank you.
All right, moving on to the YMCA pay application. This is again the Okra grant that the YMCA obtained. The county is not putting money towards this project. This is the project that the YMCA applied for an Okra grant and received it from the Office of Community and Rural Affairs from the state of Indiana. It's supporting their replacement of the roof out there at the YMCA. They had received, I believe it was roughly a $500,000 grant from Okra. The total cost of the project was almost 1.3 million. This pay application is for $81,375.54. So the money just flows through the county. It comes in and then we pay it out as work continues. Looks like remaining balance and retainage is $576,627.93. So I would entertain a motion to approve pay app number 4 for the YMCA Okra grant.
Make a motion to approve pay app number 4 for YMCA.
I will second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda, I asked to have the commissioner and council insurance added. This was discussed last year. I think that it's something that we need to discuss again this year. So from Baker Tilly, I had gotten numbers for projected revenue deficit as a result of SB1, the property tax bill from the state. For next year, the estimated deficit for just Decatur County government. It doesn't include townships, schools, anything else that has been supported by property taxes. So just for 2026, projections right now are $517,710 of a deficit. For the following year, we're at $615,520. And then for 2028, it's $781,450. And so the purpose of bringing this discussion up once again is cost savings. There is a point in time, I believe, in which we're obviously going to have to tighten our belts as a county government. And this is one of the areas in which I believe we as commissioners can do that. I think there are going to be a number of different things that are on the table this budget season. And I think that it's something that we need to be addressing. Right now, for 2025, insurance costs are $106,866 for council and commissioners. That is from the numbers that are reported to me from Baker Tilly, roughly 20% of our deficit. And so I believe that it's a worthy discussion about if we will be continuing to offer insurance for commissioners and council members. my personal belief, I'll go first. I believe that there needs to be this cut. When we're talking about services and people that make Decatur County government work, we need to keep our people employed. We need to still be able to provide the services through the different departments that serve our community. And if this is an area that we can cut to save or to, I guess, claw back roughly 20% of the projected budget, I think that it needs to have serious conversations and discussions here amongst this group going forward, because that means that we don't have to make cuts to people or services.
When you talk about cuts to people and services, like layoffs,
I don't want to see layoffs.
I think our employees are the most valuable assets.
Absolutely.
That's a county.
Yep.
So I would not recommend any type of cut to any kind of benefits for them, any kind of, as far as currently right now. Pay. I know that this projected shortfall is significant, but also we haven't really had a budget process to see where we're at,
We have not.
where we can pair and look at different things. So
Yep. And part of that is also the last item. Part of that addresses our last item on the agenda as well, which we discussed right after this with updating the financial review. But I wanted to start the conversation tonight because the discussions about where we go financially as a county will fall to the council. Correct. This is one of the areas that we as commission can also directly impact the county's finances going forward. And it would be a significant portion of the impact of the deficit that's projected for next year. Obviously, the percentage of the deficit that would be covered by eliminating insurance would decrease each year as the amount of the deficit increases going out to 28. These projected numbers don't go out further than 28. But from what I have been told, when you get out to 2030, 2031, the numbers don't get better, they get worse. And so I think that part of this also is not just keeping our people and our services, but also acknowledging that inflation continues. We will have to give raises to employees. They do diligent work here. They're experiencing the same things the rest of us are with cost of living. Insurance is obviously never going down. And so we're going to continue to incur costs, all of it for that continue to rise, including the highway department for basic services, our sheriff's department for basic services. So I think if there's areas that we can be diligent and look at things like this, then I think that we should. Gabe?
Yeah, I've reviewed it. I don't use the county insurance, but I'm with the other talks and subsequent income that we may be able to find as SB1 goes further. I don't know that I'm ready to pull that trigger yet. I would want to maybe see some of the effect. It's just still too early in this process for me to make that decision.
It is, but I don't think it's too early to start looking at possible options. It's something that I would like to continue to investigate and continue to look at. Because even as I was driving here this evening, I was having discussions about some of the things that SB1 did with local income tax. And there's potential of going back and actually addressing those either later this year or potentially next year to address some of the impact of the local income tax. So I think it's something that we need to keep in mind here. Because the discussion that we had last year was whether or not commissioners and council members should have continued. And the discussion last year was that you would have kept it through the end of your current term. And then it would drop off at that point. So no one would, at that point, lose insurance if we voted to eliminate it at the end of this year. No one's term is up this year. But it would happen at the end of their elected term. So I think that we need to just be looking and trying to be as frugal as we can with the uncertainty that we have.
Without going through the budget and being, I have not had an opportunity to sit in on the budget workshop. So I know there's other avenues, other ways that we can look at reducing our costs. So this is one of them.
Yep.
So I would, again, like to be more in touch with the budget, the process, and in that workshop and understand all the time to make sure that we can be more frugal, if you will.
Okay. Any other thoughts on that topic now? Anyone else? Okay. Moving on, we do have two of the similarly titled topics here. So we're going to handle fairgrounds rezoning approval, contract survey at the same time. Currently, all of the fairgrounds is zoned in the, it's all zoned together. It's all zoned agricultural. And going through the process of building the new community building, we ran into some potential issues with the setbacks and other requirements that would be required to have the building in the current location. And so the discussion that we had with Scott Barnes, Brett Shooting, that I've had with some other folks about the exact issues that we're having. The idea is to parcel off the area where the new building is going to sit. Part of that was the idea that the community building is going to be more commercial in nature than agricultural. And it also adjusts the setbacks that would be required. So that way we aren't having, as a county government, having to go and ask for a special exception to build a building ourselves here. While we could do it, I think probably the best policy would be to rezone the parcel around where the new building is going to sit. So I guess first I would make a motion to proceed with the rezoning of the parcel so that we can accommodate some of the concerns with setback where the new community building is going to sit.
The new parcel,
Yep.
like 2.55.
So I would make that motion.
And it's, we're rezoning it from A to
J1 to B3.
A1 to B3. Okay.
I've looked at this in depth a lot last week, so I'll second that.
All right. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Then part of that, I have a contract here for Andy Schuley, the county surveyor, to do the surveying work for that zoning. Yep. And so the contract cost price here for the services is $3,000.
Got a question.
Yep.
How, again, I apologize, but I don't understand this exactly. But and Sholey is our county surveyor.
Correct. Yep.
How does that work? Does he not survey that property off for us because he gets paid as our county surveyor? Why are we getting charged $3,000?
Chad, you want to jump in on that one?
The county surveyor's duties are prescribed by Indiana statutes. Their view is maintaining markers. Do we have any markers that do not include additional survey work for the county work for, as evidenced by the fact that the county surveyor does not actually have to do a survey. So it is not part of his elected duty by statute.
What is this?
But I agree with you, that is the answer.
What was your question?
What was the what's the salary? Yeah, surveyor. You don't know off the top of your head.
I think it's like
It's on-
15, I think it's 15.
That's been a, just because he is a licensed surveyor.
Well, in this situation, I don't think we're gonna fix that tonight, so I will make a motion to approve Shirley to rezone the 2.55 acres or resurvey it partial.
I'll second that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. All right, Fairgrounds Ready project, need to give an update kind of on where we are at right now. It is a ready project, ready 2.0. The initial, proposal that was submitted to the state was that the project would be $4 million. 1,950,000 would be coming from Ready. The remainder is coming from the county and private donations. The private donations that were written into the proposal was $800,000, which could include in-kind work that's being done during the project, and then also through fundraising. Initially, there were some discussions that Ready funds for Ready 2.0 would start, I think they were talking, Brian, July 1st initially, somewhere in that ballpark. And then I was talking with someone else that they were maybe targeting the fall. And now we're looking at maybe January of 2026 before Ready funds start to be dispersed potentially. No firm commitment, I believe, would be the adequate summary of where we're at from state funds being dispersed to counties and other municipalities and projects like this. And so obviously, many of you have seen the project is well underway and it is proceeding at this point. I had received a pay application from Greg Martz, probably a week and a half ago. I think it was right before I had left for vacation. And so we need to make a decision on our intent now. I believe that our options are several. Option one could be we tell Scott, no more, we're done right now. We aren't proceeding with anything else until we start seeing commitments from the state with this funding. I think option two, since the county had already been committed to 1.2 million, we take the project 1.2 million, which is not going to get us very much further than the payout that was $738,000 already. I guess option 2B is that we take it to an appreciable point of you get the building enclosed. Because right now we already own the building. The building, the outside metal, the interior metal supports have already been purchased to avoid almost 20% or more than 20% increase in costs. Yeah. Costs had continued to go up, and so we already own a building. Yep. And so the decision was made to go ahead and pull the trigger on the buildings prior to a lot of the fiasco here happening on the state level from the disbursement side of things. Option three is that we continue to proceed forward. I can't remember off the top of my head here, so let me look before I go any further. So in edit, as of time when I got these reports for this meeting, we had roughly $3.6 million in edit. The interest, if I'm remembering correctly, on edit per month is, I think, over $12,000. So we have funds to continue on with the project to cover a substantial portion of this project. And so we can continue to proceed forward. I have had discussions with Greg Martz about a potential agreement to put additional money on the highway department loan, if you will. And I don't believe that Greg, from what he's indicated, he is able to do that now. I don't believe, from the discussions that we've had, I think that there are some issues there. And
Yeah, I think you'd rather do probably your second option.
Yeah.
But that's right.
And so I think the final option that we have is to proceed forward and look at another loan option from a bank to cover this type of shortfall. Brian Robbins and I have had some discussions and gotten some confirmation that if we are to pay this money out of edit, or we obtain some kind of loan, we can use those edit funds or not edit funds, ready funds to pay ourselves back. So that we aren't bleeding this out.
Confirmed.
Yeah, that was a week and a half ago, Brian, that I think you confirmed that.
Yeah, through the way that the ready is set up, yes, they allow that. I will say there's a doomsday situation.
Yeah.
I think it's also politically based, but as Jeremy said, we're getting no guidance whatsoever as far as police. So situation with the new administration that they're putting a hold on everything and not quite ready to release how it's going to be done. I think having those funds allotted to the 15 ratings and pulling the rug out would be pretty drastic. Talking to the governor, but the governor has said that he likes the ready program, he supports the ready program, so we don't have a reason to believe that, but
And I would emphasize that last part that Brian mentioned when our ready region went and met with the governor probably 2 months ago now,
Yeah.
Brian. One of the biggest things that Governor Braun kept mentioning, he really likes ready because your local communities, our local community, have to be able to, in his words, have skin in the game. And we are at that point where we are paying local dollars. We have a fundraising committee that is proceeding forward with different aspects of being able to go out and solicit contributions to this project to help grow our community and revitalize the fairground. So I think that we will show the governor by proceeding forward that we truly are committed to this project, that we want to see it through. We need guidance and we need the same type of assistance that was promised to us when we were applying for ready last year.
My opinion is moving forward. I believe that we will get the ready funds. I don't see that just being pulled out from under us. I think my thought process is if we have to finance it, and then being able to, now we know that we can get paid back those edit funds to recoup that. I fully believe that we should keep moving forward with this project, not put it on hold, and have confidence that we will get those ready funds.
I guess if you could enlighten me more, but as far as the payout, I mean, 700,000, what are we paying for it? And it's what I mean by that is right now, the only thing that's been done is we've tore down the building, right?
Purchase
And purchased it, but
You say the percentage of Sarah paying for the design.
is the metal here.
No,
So So that's, I guess that's what I'm asking is, typically, the things are, you see some of the progress besides like the, and I mean perfectly, right? Before,
No, not special word, steel building. You have to pay for them. That's how you get locked.
Okay.
Nature of it, of course.
I gotta look back at that. First, but it was mentioned also by Greg that very soon in the near future, there's another one.
Yes.
So and now there's another pay app that he's talking about that will be, because the schedule has moved, apparently the pay scale, pay app is not. So,
So after this one, it's based on production schedule. Basically, go into site work, which Brad's already started the site work, the concrete foundations. So if you halt at this point, we haven't done any site work yet. First one is large because of the impact of
The actual building materials.
the building and the design work.
and that's where I just want to make sure that it's not going to be 2 weeks from now, which I know this is some great.
Brad's fast, but he's not that.
Well, I'm talking about as far as the next pay app.
That's what I'm saying. Your pay app is based on production schedule. So if we're gonna stop the schedule, we need to know sooner than later, because like I say, Brad started signing it this week. Foundation. But that's where you're gonna see the measurable percentage of completion. For
He give you an amount for the pay app, Jerry, the second one?
No, I don't have that. I'm still trying to.
It'll be a monthly, based on, the range for the next 30 days. You bought yourself some time. Basically.
Yeah, he gave us the schedule.
Yeah.
Of that, but I think
And that's projected.
I'm having a hard time finding it here. I should have had it pulled up. I know it was the largest cost
I
in
know.
there. It was. I think my own organization may have proposed it.
Yeah, so he was looking at 4-1, which we're obviously behind the schedule for that. He didn't announce the second draw yet, but he just mentioned that it's going to be right on the heels of this. So, yes, the way I read that when he said it is I'm like, I mean, I understand we got to pay for the building. We don't have it. And usually in the world that I deal in, it's usually after something's delivered when you pay for it. But I understand in this situation, we had to pay up front because in order to withhold pricing.
Correct.
Which it was a substantial amount of money.
Sure.
That's the difference. That makes sense. But I just want to make sure we're not going to get hit.
Your
2
next pay,
weeks.
it'll be based on production.
Based on what's
Yeah,
been done.
so you'll see that.
Yes, in my own organization, my Outlook, it was in the ready folder, not my other folder. So the architecture and the engineering of it was 49,000. The big number here was the pre-engineered building, $554,201.57. And then earthwork of 52,454. The farm and home building renovation it needs to be done by this fair. That's where we're going in and putting in. We're basically redoing the entire bathroom. It'll be heated and cooled in the farm and home building. New toilets, new urinals. Walls are being redone to make it easier to clean in there. And so that right now is $49,676.03. So I mean, those are your big ticket items that we received so far.
We gave, so the 50,000, that was the demo, that was the rest.
Yeah.
And the rest are otherwise, that over there.
Yeah. It's all steers for there this week.
Yep, so all the demos done and the rough ones are happening, so, other than the build package, everything else there is stopping, yes, or skinning, yes, from our skin.
So I would also tell you that this would have been Friday, the 25th. I think I talked to almost every single council member that day. And I talked to a couple more later that weekend. The general consensus that I have received from council members, which I'll be taking this to them at their next meeting, is to proceed either to that appreciable level where the building is enclosed or to proceed forward, much like Brian was discussing. That was the general inclination that I was getting from the different council members. I was talking to them individually and laying out the same options, the same manner that I have here with you guys today.
In my opinion, I don't think we should stop production. The big cost here was the building. We committed to purchasing that already. So you know, that's a big part of the expense. I'm assuming that the next couple draws are going to be slower. Going to be obviously some excavation work, some concrete work. It's not going to be this big of a ticket. I would assume if it's on a monthly draw. So I think we could stay within the 1.2 that we've already, guaranteed, and then we're going to have to reassess at that point.
And I think Scott and I have talked about the possibility of getting this building enclosed.
Right.
And then if we need to slow walk other aspects of this project.
That's how it's detrimental to them.
Yes, but we can't have the steel sitting around.
Yeah, we're already going to own the building. So
And we can't have it rusting, being exposed to the elements. I'm sure that there are contractors that are in place already that if we were to delay this, we would be delaying much longer than we'd like to think.
If you delayed it, let's say 60 days, you tried to pick back up, it's not gonna be the same cost as what it is.
And I also believe that if you put the shell up and stuff there, you're gonna have the same problem. Because
To a point, yeah.
we will also have those contractors ready to go,
That's right.
and then we put them off and costs go up, schedules go awry
Sure.
because now they're on other projects. And I just don't think it's good business to,
no, but I mean, at least if it's enclosed, it's a little bit easier.
I understand that, but I still feel like that's just my opinion, moving forward with that project. How many other counties are in the same boat that we're in? Right, right?
Yeah, it's not just counted to private folks that are waiting.
Right.
And there's, I've just had, from the person, that they're all waiting for approval. And again, the administration is trying to figure out what they want to do, how they want to do it this time, especially in these kind of cases. And there's a chance of many of these projects all throughout the state are going to lose at least a construction season.
Yep.
That's pretty, especially since, but in our region, we had performed so well with Ready One and really top of the game. We're ready to go. Back, so it's like,
I can tell you also in the discussions that I've had with Greg Martz, he is in another Ready 2.0 project that is further along than ours. And they had submitted a pay application when I was talking to him almost 2 weeks ago. That was 3 months prior to our conversation that they had submitted the payout, and they were still awaiting disbursement. And so it's my understanding there's still no funds that are going out. So I believe that we need to continue forward with the project. If we need to look at additional funding, I think that we can look that way, but I think at least for today's purposes, we need to continue forward with the project to a bare minimum of getting the building up. My preference would be to not incur additional costs by delaying this. I believe that the additional cost of a delay would be detrimental to the project, detrimental to the county's finances, which are clearly a topic for discussion at tonight's meeting.
And also detrimental to our fundraising.
Absolutely. And so I think that we need to stay committed to the project and continue to move forward.
I agree. We already decided to purchase the building, so these contracting work has already been done. So I'd make a motion to approve the first payout for March.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed. And then as far as moving forward with the project as a whole, I would make a motion to go ahead and continue forward with the project. We are having a ready meeting on Wednesday afternoon to discuss different options on how we're going to proceed financially on the project, with members from the council. And I think Brian, you're going to be there as well. Scott, you're going to be there, to discuss some of those finances. But
Maybe soon.
but I would make a motion to continue on at this point, project as a whole.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? I'm sure we will have plenty more updates here in the future on where we're at with that project.
Thanks for clearing up the draw.
Yeah. Part of the money. And call me anytime. I've been in town most days. And yeah, feel free to reach out.
There's no vacant restaurants or anything.
No. I talk to my sister.
Give me 1 second here. Moving on then, we already hit the fairgrounds contract survey. The next one is the fundraising video. So again, this is part of the Ready project for the fairgrounds. The fundraising committee had met a month ago, and we were coming up with different ideas for the fundraising committee to be able to present information to the community and to potential donors for the project. And one of the committee members had made a suggestion of a video that is similar to what had gone around for Pro-Life when they were doing their large fundraising campaign, that highlights the different aspects of the project, the benefits of the project to the community. And so I was able to reach out to Daniel Fayette. He and I sat down and talked about the idea of a video for this project, for this campaign, about the vision of the entire Ready project out at the fairgrounds, that it's not just a community building, but it's truly a large portion of the grounds in general that will be receiving an update, and how that's going to affect our community as a whole. And so we're going to be encompassing a lot of the past ideals that have gotten us here today, the heritage that Decatur County has, being an agricultural community, and the central point for the fairgrounds, and how we're going to help continue on with that tradition into this video. And so he was able to give me a quote of $2,000 for the video. He needs 50% of that upfront. That would be paid out of the edit fund that we had adopted last time. And so I need approval to go ahead.
You've already approved these funds to be moved over for these purposes.
Correct. Yes. So the approval last time we were discussing fundraising materials, and which would have included the potential of printed documentation, handouts, things like that, to be able to give to folks. And so this would be part of that. And the whole reason for pursuing the video is our fundraising committee is roughly 20 people. And if we have 20 different people going out to talk to different potential donors, we want to try to avoid the potential of having 20 different messages.
We want to be consistent.
And yes, and so we want to have a video here that is concise about the true goal and the purpose of the project, and the parts that we want to highlight for the project. And so this way, when one of our committee members goes out there, they can actually present something to show those potential donors. We can put it on Facebook. We can put a link on our county website so that folks can see this, and they can actually get the clear message of what it is that we're doing and why this is a true asset for the community. And then we also have the handouts and the other documentation so that they can get a whole idea about what exactly this project is doing. So that's the true, yep, and the pledge cards. Yeah. So I had reworked the pledge cards. I created.
Do a hotline.
I'll put it right to your cell phone. So yes, I done the pledge cards, a project overall summary and then individual project summary that is community building, the farm and home building, the electrical upgrades, improvements to the horse arena. Might be skipping on something. But yeah, so there's a detailed summary paragraph for each different section that will be part of the materials that we can hand out, that we'll have to have that printed out as well. But yes, so this is part of that fundraising campaign.
I looked over their proposal. I thought it looked really good. I hope so. The video, so.
I think it's gonna be great.
I've seen his work. He does a good job. I think this will be a good,
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second my motion.
All those in favor, say aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. So Christie, he needs 50% upfront, and then upon completion, we'll have to pay the $1,000 upfront, and then another 1,000 at completion of the video. All right, fair contracts. So we have a number of contracts. I think we have two. Yeah, so we have two contracts here for the upcoming fair. We have a contract for the National Tractor Pulling Association. It's a sanction agreement here. The total amount for the tractor pull for the promoter is $15,000. That would be paid out of the fair budget. And you guys have the opportunity to go look at that.
I did.
Okay. Any discussion on the topic?
Question I have is just, what do we usually see is, what does the fair board usually see back as income? Generated.
That depends year to year.
Sure.
It depends on weather as well. The tractor pull is typically, I think, around at best case scenario, about break even. Just because the expenses are high.
Good.
The year that we made the most money was the year that it rained. Yeah, so, I mean, it's
Does that
typically
seem the purse comes back?
correct. Yeah. The money was refunded, that we had paid. So typically, Gabe, it's a break even.
But it's a great event for the community.
Or close to a break even. It is the best that we typically hope for. It brings people to the fairgrounds, so it's not just money coming back to the fair in the form of admission into the
It makes it
grandstands.
worthwhile for booth rental.
It's parking, it's vendors that are coming out there, so you're getting additional revenue from the number of folks that are coming there in general. So it's not just the folks that are going down to the actual track to sit and watch the tractor pull, but it's everything else that's also out there at the fairgrounds.
And I wasn't here last year. I'm assuming these are in line where they are. Okay.
Yeah, so we're looking at looks like different classes: hot farm, light pro stock, and then also trucks.
Yeah.
And in this agreement here, they also have all the things that they will be doing, including advertising leading up to it. So
I was making to approve the NTPA contract.
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Carries. Yeah, this is the one that needs payment. And then we have for the tractor pull, the sled rental contract as well. The total amount is $1,650 for the sled rental. They do not need payment until time of the event.
If you have a choice. on that.
Yeah. That's a good time to ask about that.
I make a motion.
I'll second that. I'll second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Do you have any other?
What's your contingency?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, motion carries. The next on here is the Adams Township Board. We'll come back to that one. We'll leave that for the end. We're going to hit updating the financial review. Obviously, it's a topic that we have discussed frequently this evening. County finances are something that are a bit in flux right now. Last year, Decatur County had retained Baker Tilly to do a financial review. The projections for revenue went out 5 years. Those projections were based on calculations that are no longer applicable. Yeah. And they will be able to use a lot of the general work that had been previously done, but a lot of it needs to be looked at again based on property tax revenues, business personal property tax revenues, local income tax revenues. And so I had reached out to Baker Tilly again. I sent you guys the potential engagement contract here to look over with Baker Tilly from Paige Sonson. And it would be for the same type of financial review that we had done last year. And I think the benefit that we could also see is the edit funds and projected revenue through lit going forward for projects like Ready 2.0 for the county, as well as our general fiscal stability, so that we can properly assess come budget season here in just short time where the county is at financially.
I am on board with this. I believe that I was impressed with their last presentation. And I believe that with the new legislation that we just had, I believe that it is need this again to get us ahead of the game, honestly.
Maybe now more than ever.
Yes, I mean, super important.
So I don't have a firm cost on that right now, Larry, because of the
25.
last one was 25,000. ARPA, I believe, had appropriated $30,000, if I remember right, for it. So there was $5,000 of appropriated funds that had been left. I know during their presentations last year, the update for a new one was going to be in the $5,000 to $10,000 ballpark. I don't know how much of an update this truly is. Larry, is
It's almost like recalculating.
it's the big concern because yes, it's an update for what we already had, but a lot of what we already had is no longer applicable.
Accuracy is kind of important.
Well, when you're looking out 5 years trying to make decisions, sitting up here, it was the first year that we'd ever had anything like that, and it's highly beneficial. And when the numbers don't mean anything anymore, when you're trying to make these decisions, it's very difficult. I don't know about you guys. I'm not an accountant.
No, there's a lot.
There's a lot here that goes into these decisions, and I think that this report from them would be incredibly useful to us and to the council when they're making a decision.
One of the things that I remember last year when coming to these meetings and getting that report, there was the comments were, we've never had anything like this, as comprehensive as this, to be able to use this in our budgeting process. So I do believe now the numbers have all changed.
Yes.
They've completely been upside down. So I think it's the right thing to do. It's a smart thing to do to help us be able to financially see where we're at.
Yeah, and my goal would be that we move forward with a capital plan. We can't do a capital plan
Without this.
without this information.
Absolutely not.
So, yes, Chris, right?
Will those be, you think it'll be completed in time for budgeting?
They said it would be very close. Because, I mean, the analysis is fairly similar.
Yeah.
But we'll have to wait.
They do have, the good thing is they do have the previous information they needed to gather that information. It's just using the new updated from the state of Indiana, the income,
The equations.
the
that
equations, right?
They have to look at, because they were, throughout the SB1 process, they were running numbers for different entities. If you were one of their clients already, as if they were our financial advisor
Yes.
already, they were running numbers based on different versions of SB1 that were constantly evolving. And so they have a lot of the equations, the numbers for a generalized idea already figured. That's how I was able to get the numbers for our projected revenue loss for the next 3 years going forward. So I believe this is something that we need to proceed forward with. We still, in plans and implementations, it has not been drawn down. So I believe that's an area that we could look at. We also have the ability to look at, which one was it here? We also had, if you recall, out of the Build Decatur County Fund, the council had approved $200,000 Decatur County to be paid for to the turf project.
Yep.
And so there was still over $80,000 left in Build Decatur County. I believe that financial review here helps promote our ability to do projects like Ready 2.0 going forward, so that we can undertake projects that encourage public health, safety, economic development. We would have to get approval from the council to proceed from Build Decatur County funds. So
The first one, not
plans with implementations,
we don't go through the council.
correct.
That's in the commission's budget.
That is,
You have a preference?
I think that really runs your plans and implementation.
it's fine by me.
I feel like that's our best option right now.
That is fine by me. Yeah. All right, so I would entertain a motion then to go ahead and retain Baker Tilly to perform an updated financial review for the listed lines that they have for our budget.
I'll say that. I'll make the motion. If you're entertaining the motion, I'll make the motion.
I'll second the motion.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
For those opposed, motion carries. Christy, can you email me a copy of that in the morning so that I can forward it on to Paige? And then let's hit the disclosure agreements from jail bonds. Sure.
Christian, did you know that? Jail bonds. I did. I thought I said it. It's from, it's that one. It's the bigger.
Oh, okay. I'm with you then. All right. So the Baker Tilly contract that was signed in 2018 stated that their fee amount was not to exceed $2,500 for servicing the bonds for the jail. And the email from Matt Eckerly, he listed out what the different charges that they have incurred over the last several years. And so for 2023, in 2023, for example, the fees that they had incurred would have been $3,682.75. They wrote that down to 2,500. And then it looks like in 2022, fees that were incurred were $5,244.75. They wrote that down to 2,500. So those were the two examples that Matt Eckerly had provided in this submittal. He was looking to adjust that. I don't remember.
I believe he's looking to adjust it just to the regular cost, not
Yeah, so instead of getting it written down to a set amount,
Pay the actual
it was
cost.
paying the cost. Yeah. And so in there,
so we keep each segment, we keep $7,500 from the balance. So it comes out of that local. We keep the funds local, we don't send that big. And then we pay out there.
We have the funds to pay. it. It's just paying the actual cost versus
Right. Yes.
reduce.
so I don't think as far as where we have been so far, I think we move forward on it. It's funded and they are ensuring that everything with the new jail is going to be paid off in the time. Where we are.
I make a motion to approve the adjustments.
I'll second that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Sorry about that, Christie.
No, I'm sorry, I was,
You're all right. That was my fault.
Nobody looks more confused there.
I'd say that was intentional, but it wasn't. All right. I believe what is the last agenda topic. The commissioners have received notice that there was a vacancy for the Adams Township Advisory Board, and that position would have normally been filled at caucus. That caucus had not happened within the period that was required, and so the commissioners then have the responsibility of hearing from candidates and filling that vacancy at a commissioners meeting. And so the last item on our agenda is to hear from interested candidates and make that selection. So check me here to make sure that I have everybody in alphabetical order by last name. I have Kylie Devon, Clay Hargett, Deanna, is it Legier? Legier, I'm so sorry.
That's quite all right. You're not the first.
Okay. I know people mispronounce my name all the time, and you kind of get used to it at the end of the day, but I never like doing it. And then we had Levi Weekly. I know that Levi had indicated he would not be present. He was working, I think, for Let's tonight, but he still submitted along with the other candidates. They all had submitted their letters of interest to us. I'm sure you guys have had an opportunity to look through them. I'm going to ask each in the same order that I had listed off there to give a 3-minute presentation. I'm going to set my clock here, my timer to 3 minutes. And that is the amount of time that you will have. There you go. I'll turn it up a little bit so that everybody can hear. That is the amount of time that you will have to address the commissioners and the public for why you believe you should be chosen to be on the advisory board for Adams Township. All right, so starting first, any questions, I guess I should ask. Questions, all right. Up first then, Kylie DeBon.
I just want to start by saying I hope that time doesn't go against us.
No, up to 3.
Okay, so I've lived in Adams Township my whole life. I have served, I don't have any experience as far as on the advisory board or something like that, but I've been on various committees, Choppers for Coppers, Shop with the Cop. In Decatur County, I've helped with Santa Protectors in Shelby County. I volunteered at Girls Inc. I coach junior high softball and volleyball. And so I'm just active in different ways in the community. And so I'm interested in this position because I think it would give me a different way to learn and serve. I've worked at Major Hospital in Shelbyville for 20 years. And so I'm a hard worker. I'm organized. I know I am not afraid to jump in and get my hands dirty, to do some work and get things accomplished. I know when we had the meeting for the trustee position, and Bethany had mentioned some of the work they've done in the cemeteries and things like that. It just getting in and doing something physical to make something better kind of sounded something that I enjoy. And so I think that there's ways I can help give back. I'm very organized, like I said, and I think I would fit in good with the current advisory board members. So I would like to have the opportunity to do so.
Very good.
Very good.
Thank you, Kylie.
Thanks, Kylie.
All right, up next, Clay Hargett.
Good evening, Clay Hargett. I'm born and raised in St. Paul, St. Omer. Left after college and came back about 15 years ago. As of Monday, I'll be gainfully unemployed as I've sold my business and coming home. So I've got some time on my hands, and it's been a goal of mine to be involved in the management of Adams Township. And so here I am. And I'm not going to take 3 minutes, but some of the history. I started a business 40 some years ago in Indianapolis as a general contractor with $500 in a toolbox, and turned that into a company that provided all the millwork for Purdue Honors College, Kelly School of Business, and Bloomington, Cummins World Headquarters, Cummins Corporate Headquarters, McAllister Caterpillar, and many other projects. You might, if you've been in St. Mary's Church, I did all the woodwork in St. Mary's Church. So we've had a pretty good run. And you can't do that if you don't manage money and you don't understand business. So I'd like to bring that to the opportunity to be a part of the advisory board for trustee of Adams Township. Thank you.
Right, and Deanna.
Hello, thank you. Again, my name is Deanna Legier. And I just have to say that I've presented tons of meetings. I've presented to hundreds of people on a Zoom call across multiple countries, and this is the most terrifying thing I've ever had to do. So, and as I was sitting there, I was thinking about why. I'm like, I've done this so many times. I've presented to CEOs and had to have contracts signed and talk to these guys and giving me hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, why is this so terrifying? And as I'm sitting there, it's because I know that it impacts my community, directly my community. So I won't spend a lot of time talking about my history. It's all in my resume. I spent over 11 years working for a staffing company and I held various roles within that. I know that all of my history and my experience would be useful in this position. I have worked with companies to help them figure out how to take care of their staffing needs. And last year, I actually lost my job, unfortunately, due to cuts. I made it through 4 rounds, so it's kind of one of those things where you know it's going to happen. Unfortunately, it's just like that, and I found myself starting over. So now I do work locally for a local chiropractor, and so I see people every day of our community, and I have the great opportunity to help them feel better. And I spoke in my letter that I do have 2 children, and I've had the opportunity to travel all over, actually, the United States. I've been on events with the school through North Decatur, through BF Tours. So I've had the opportunity to see a lot of places, and there isn't anywhere else that I would have chosen to raise my kids if given the opportunity. My neighbors know my kids. They save them candy. They're 18, and they still get candy on Halloween. So you can't really find that anywhere else. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here today and be considered for this position. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a set procedure on voting? I didn't think there was. Thought it was just similar from my review of look at the statutes that it is as any other commissioner vote. Me. All right. Any discussion, Joe?
Discussion.
Yeah.
This is harder for me.
A lot of good candidates.
I would say
That's the good problem.
It makes it easier when there's one good stand-up.
I would say sitting here as a commissioner and as somebody that was one of the precinct committee members that voted on the township trustee, I'm very appreciative of all the folks that come out and are willing to throw their name in the hat to do something like this when you know that there are more than likely going to be other candidates there. And that there's in this case, with 4 candidates, there's a high likelihood that you could be the one walking out without the position. So I would commend each and every one of you for coming in this evening to throw your name in the hat to help our community. We need folks that are willing to take this risk and take this this chance. I know Brian, you yourself were in a similar position, the caucus, not in front of the commissioners, but for a caucus, precinct committeeman for the commissioner position a little over 2 years ago. So I'm sure that we can very personally relate to some of the anxiety and other nerves that the candidates may have been feeling this evening. So I guess we will then just move forward with a proposal of a candidate. The thing that I'm looking at, I guess it's my topic for the evening.
It's all on you, Jeremy.
Is finances. Financials have clearly been my topic for the evening, I guess. I don't know exactly how that happened. When I look through the resumes of what I think could benefit our community, having a fiscal person there, I think that Clay would do a great job there. I think that all of the candidates would do a fantastic job given their desire to help the community. I think that being able to, as he had outlined in the speech today, and then other information that we've received, I think that the financial part of this is huge when you're making decisions. As you all know, they're well underway on construction for a new firehouse. And so I think that things there can be beneficial. And when you're looking again at budgets like we are, let's see if I still have it up here. The projected revenue loss for Adams Township for next year is 8,100. For 2027, it's almost 12,000, and for 28, it's almost 15,000. So you were talking about a 10% decline. Those are my general thoughts.
My general thought is, knowing Kylie, I feel like she's a good fit for this position. Her hard work, her dedication, and not that either of you are not hard workers and all of that, but just, I feel like she's a good fit for this position.
Gabe,
That's where I was.
you have a motion?
I would make a motion to Kylie LeBon on the Adams Township Advisory Board.
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, Kylie. All right, I don't have anything else on my agenda. Brian, do you have anything for us?
I do not.
Brian?
I think we talked the main things already.
Yeah, you said you had some.
Yes, I do. Since Brian's already told us he does not. So I don't know how much time spent in here, but there's the Wi-Fi is absolutely terrible. Actually non-existent. I mean, it's there. It says it's there. It's not. It's not really. It's full signal, but you can't use it. So it's a major issue for me, and I think for several other folks as you're, and of course now you know we have hired a maintenance person who also needs to be able to have Wi-Fi access throughout the building. So I got with IT. They already have all the management things in place. They just need to add the access points. There's want to put one in each courtroom. So they've already looked at this plan and kind of assessed where it would need to be. They want to put one in each courtroom, one in a general area upstairs. Then they are looking to put one in each conference room. That is the additions. There's two that need replaced, and that is in the treasurer's office and the auditor's office. So they would replace those two as well. Each one is about $150, so we're under $1,200 to do all the additions and replacements. And that should give us actually the good quality Wi-Fi that we're looking for. Plenty of space in the controller, no problem. They said there's nowhere near limitations here. So maintenance person that would assist them if needed as far as wiring, help gain familiarity.
I think that's an investment that's worthwhile. I think every cases, they would appreciate that. Yeah.
Do we get a motion? Where will we pay this out? Yeah,
So this would come out of IT's.
IT's budget.
Yeah. I mean, well, hold on. No. It would come out, we would have to pay for the addition for the building, but IT will order it as their standard ones that they use. Correct. They will get them installed and programmed, but it would have to come out of something. One question.
Budget.
Something like that. That's what I was looking at. Yeah. I think there's a sufficient for the courthouse. Yeah. I think that'll be just fine.
I would make a motion to move forward to purchase that Wi-Fi.
I'll second that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
The last thing is Todd forgot to bring this up before he left, but there was a Owings, unless I missed it, but there was a bill from Owings that was to fix the drainage at fairgrounds. Todd felt that shouldn't be paid by county highway department since it was to, even though they helped do the work and make sure it all got done, he felt that at least want to bring it up to us, that he felt that maybe should go to the fair board since
Materials.
just materials.
Is this Is this the drainage down at the horse arena?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there was a bunch of plugged up pipes and they end up, so now it's all reinstalled, got critter guards on it.
Is this also the tiling that runs from the hill through the track down towards the creek?
I don't know how much,
Scott, do you know if they've hit that yet? If not,
It didn't, it was.
It's not very-
specific.
if that's what you're asking.
no, but there were, so there's, I think at least 2 tiles that are up on the hill
Yes.
that then run down through the track. And then there's tiles that are in the track that should be taking water away. And we know that that's not happening because of the amount of water that's standing. And so the discussions that we had through some of those radio meetings was that we needed to fix the tiling that was on the hill and the track. And then we were adding tiles inside the horse arena. And I talked to Tim Morgan. So inside the horse arena, the makeup arena, and then also on the side of the west side of the arena, in between the arena fence and the track, so that we can catch that rainwater that's coming down from above the hill. And it's then going on that west southwest corner of the horse barn, right there on the horse arena. And so that was the discussion. And we had discussed that it would come from the fairgrounds budget.
Okay, because this work's already been done.
Yep.
And so it's already,
Yep.
it's purchased, but he received the invoice. He wants to make sure that it is
Yep.
going.
Yeah, 'cause reading his email, it didn't get specific
Yep.
on what it was for, other than fair.
And I asked him about it when he was here. He said
Yeah.
it was part of the drainage issues. They were completely plugged up, not drained. So that was what it took to fix. And he said from the track area. So he said.
So I'm assuming, that goes,
Fairgrounds.
goes to probably council, or does that?
No, that's money. So, the bill can then just be paid out of the fairgrounds.
Fairgrounds.
Yeah.
Jeremy, I think historically, from what we've learned is that's kind of.
Yeah.
This is from 20 years.
Yeah, that track would make a better pool. That track.
Passing along.
Yep.
4730.
Anything else?
Are you asking me?
I can ask you, but anyone else? No? All right. I would entertain a motion to recess.
So moved.
Second.
Recess.
I'm not-